Welcome everybody to Two Man Power Trip, the Black Man Starting a Nerd Lifestyle. I'm Nicholas, Mr. Go with the Flow,
And I'm the man with the plan, Maurice.
and we're back with another edition of the Blerd By Nature Podcast. What's up, co-host?
What's good? Black Enemy Podcast 202 in the building.
Yup. Let's go into vibe, guys, right off the bat. How was your weekend?
You know, my weekend was good. I can't complain too much.
Good. You was chilling?
Yeah, I was chilling.
Good. I mean, it's well needed.
Yeah, yo, definitely, bro. It really was.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Me on the flip, yeah. Me and Kenya went on Saturday. We went Axstone. There's a place like nearby here in New Rochelle and stuff that.
Okay.
So they had Axstone and stuff like that. And we went late night. We got dinner and then we went off to Axstone. And it was really nice. Next time we can go with a bigger group and stuff like that. The setup they have like different mini games and stuff like that. You could switch to arcade style and throwing axes at zombies' heads and stuff like that. It's nice. And then towards the back they have like the arcade and stuff like that. We was there pretty much towards like closing time and stuff like that. So we practiced and then we got the shots off. Kenya definitely whipped my ass on that one.
I was about to ask.
Oh yeah. She had more than angle on that, so she was getting that. She was getting the good shots and stuff like that. Like she was clearing the boards. Like I think the closest I got was probably the second game where we was. It was like kind of a Candy Crush thing where you threw the axe and then it would bust. It would bust stuff down like Tetris, and then you get the points off of that. But like she was hitting the triple doubles at last minute, and then she overran me, so she caught that. And then the zombie mix. She started to catch the major ones towards the end. So she definitely had the anger spots in her to control that axe going crazy. So that's kudos to her.
Nice. Captain laid the smack down.
Yep. So that was a good Saturday. It's chilling for the most part Sunday. And then getting into the weeds of the work week of it. How was your work week?
Yeah, but work has been that. There's been a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of chicken and maneuvering.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Shit. Like so. We already talked about like, all the shifts and changes, and so it's just been a lot of testing new processes and new flows of how things are gonna go, how we're changing things, what's gonna happen now. So I've just been doing a lot of testing, a lot of crap.
Damn, are you the main person being the tester?
One of a few.
Oh, okay.
It's just because I'm in different pots, I'm testing different things.
Yeah. How many stuff you tested?
I tested two laptop configs, a couple of mobile device configs, some onboarding, offboarding stuff.
Damn.
Yeah.
A little here, a little there, pretty much. Carrying a whole bunch of different stuff. So how so the teams that you guys have left working on different stuff like that. So is this a more like collaborative, since there's only about a few teams left, are you guys kind of all chat with each other on a constant?
Yes and no. It's pretty similar how it is from before. So the team itself is global. There are different people in different regions of the world. Yeah. Like we have some people in, of course, we got people here. We have people in Canada. There are people in the UK.
Oh, okay.
I think a few, maybe in Australia. Oh, so we're all different time zones. So we do get together and talk, but it's pretty much the same in regards to that, just because of the time differences.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. For the most part, my work week was kind of adjusting to the name change, changing, signatures and all that stuff and whatnot. So that was the main thing. Other than I think one supervisor was out majority of the week, so we was kind of holding down the fort of whatever madness would fling by us. Other than that, everything been kind of on the up and up. We've been holding down the fort and shit chilling for the most part. Tempers be flared up at work and people be acting up once or twice, but for the most part, we got everything handled.
Did they change your email?
Well, I changed my signature, and slowly we're over changing everything. I don't know. I haven't talked on the phone to like call any insurances specifically about our name change in general, because so far I'm still using the old name, so I don't know if that's gonna be a conflict yet. Like I haven't ran into the experience of it becoming a conflict yet, but I mean the way how these insurances work and they hold on to old information forever, that's gonna be a process of changing our whole shit over.
Oh yeah, it definitely is gonna be.
Yep, especially asking in the record, like if you use our official new name and attach it to any doctors, they're probably gonna be like,
who this?
Exactly, and that's gonna be a whole other thing in itself, a whole freaking But yeah, that's pretty much that for my work week. And then we was all chilling yesterday. Getting
Yeah.
which was a good time. Good time we have a good time when we all pull up at that barbecue spot. It's nice. We get to chat and stuff like that. Me and Peter, it was a vibe for sure.
Yo, for real, yo. It was a good times. Haven't seen Peter in a while, so that was cool seeing him.
Yeah, you finally gave him his Christmas gift.
Yeah, man. I've been holding on for a minute.
Give him that ninja.
Right? For real.
Nah, that's great. That's great. All right, switching off from Vibe Guys, we can get into our first discussion off the cuff. On the table, I wanted to talk about this. So this is something that popped up recent because of all the new stuff that seemed to have popped up today in general. I wanted to get your opinions on anthology series shows, just in general. Like maybe a pros and cons, if you have any. But like, for example, HBO Max has something called Only You Animated Shorts, which is different. It's like 6 minutes, different animation, different stories to be told, and each jam-packed, and it's like an anthology of a vibe of that. We have the Disney. Disney just announced today that I sent you the information for. I think it's called Kizamoto Generation Fire, which specifies on African animation and their talents, and they're gonna do like short animation, different styles all through, or similar styles all through, but just different short stories. We have something like Star Wars Visions that take animation, and it should be out by next week, but last year was more about Star Wars hitting the anime circuit and all different kinds of anime styles. And then also this season of Visions. This season of Visions is supposed to be on, it's supposed to be more of a worldwide animation scope and stuff like that, taking different ideas of that. I think Netflix Love, Death, Robots, which they all have different variation of animation attached to that. And for like throwbacks, I'm going to say, like, think of ideas like Kablam or Oh Yeah cartoons.
Okay.
So opinions on anthology series shows, pretty.
I generally like them. I don't have a super strong opinion on them.
Yeah.
Like usually when I've seen them, they've usually been decent to good to great, depending on what it is. So usually those, for the most part, are done by someone that wants to do them, so they're kind of taking care. They're not really something that's really just slapped around just for like, oh, we're just gonna do this and.
Hopefully, that's the ideal, because some, always when you have anthology stories, some are greater than others.
Yeah, so that's generally the case. But like I said, you do have the outliers where they're just trying to cash grab and blah, 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 blah. So generally, I like them. They're generally done well.
Yeah.
But there are exceptions to everything, and that's no different.
Agreed. I mean, I think the pros are definitely a variety of different things. You could like this more than you like some other things. I say the cons are that you could end up really liking something, and then like these anthology series are honestly just a test run. They're to see who gauges with which story the most. And let's say you're on the hook for this story, but they don't get picked for anything further. Like maybe like Oh Yeah cartoons, I always remembered was testing the waters on shows that would later become actual series. Like you'd get the early rendition of like the Fairly Odd Parents. If that never got picked up, then you would have the Fairly Odd Parents show. So it's like the pros is like you could like something and then the studio might not be behind it. The fandom might not be there for it to push further and go along with something like that. Like HBO Max in Only You Animated Shorts, their first episode was a handball anime that was like strictly so New York that it was like it was really good, but it was also like 6 minutes, so everything was like crammed and everything felt sped run through the entire thing. But at the same time, the characters were so lively, and as you being from like New York and you get the lingo and shit like that, it felt so close and collaborative that you would want a further story off of this. But you kind of also feel like it's so specific to kind of cater maybe to your needs that you don't know if everybody else is attached to it, everybody else down with it further, and you don't know if this gets like pushed towards anything else, like if it goes any further in the future. So that's kind of a con off that. Con as well is after after like catching lightning in a bottle the first time, like let's say if they continue like Love, Death and Robots, the first season was so amazing because they had like, because you didn't know it was coming, they had like 20 different episodes full of different animation styles and different stories and stuff like that. It caught on and everybody loved it. But then you drop season 2 and then they only have like 6 or 7 because the demand is now high and you are expecting, you know, within the timeline of you finishing the first season, now there's a timeline in hoping that you get a second season. They eventually announce a second season and then they drop it on you, and then this is vastly shorter than the other stuff because now you have people working on it like bit by bit, but not as many because you didn't know when to, like, you don't know how long it took them to get to this point of the first season, and now you have a timeline going further for the second season and a demand, so that makes stuff that you might have to pick and choose and stuff like that. But then a lot of people would say season 2 didn't come out as strong as season 1 because it had less stuff and the stories they picked was kind of as less strong as the first season, so it's kind of one of those double-edged swords of picking these amalgamations. So that's just how I see it.
No, yeah, that's the catch-22 of it.
Yep. I mean, I'm interested to see, since we're getting Star Wars Visions next Wednesday, I'm curious to see how the difference goes because last year was just different animation studios involved, stuff like that. And then this year is going to be like more worldwide, expressive animation from all over the places and stuff like that. Shout outs to the art studio ran by a black man in Japan. He always comes through. He's been added to some of the most famous anime movies and TV series and music videos and all the like and stuff like that. And they're having a hand on creating the black Star Wars anime that's gonna be up in there too. So I'm interested in what they got with that. Only You animated shorts had like voice actings from. It's like one of those things that it gravitates and grabs all types of people. They don't have like, since it's a unknown property, you have a lot of voice actors that get opportunities that never really got the voice act. You get people that's more primarily New York, give you a New York flavor. I think the reason I knew about the show originally is because what was it? Miro had posted, the wrestler from AEW. He posted up on his Instagram that he was voicing a character. So that's
oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a specific like one of it. The character that he voiced was specifically a story out of Bulgaria, and it was interested in animation style and stuff like that, deviated from everything else. So that goes along with, you know, expressing worldwide and giving people opportunities that they didn't have before to like talk on the mic. Love, Death and Robots always keeps to different stories going, either legacy stories through history or futuristic stories, or like the way how they capture people in like one story over the next. I always like that with one of these anthology series, so, like different people can always talk about what their favorite episodes is, and they can be vastly different for vastly different reasons. So that was interesting. Stuff like Kablam was always wacky. You'd have the two hosts and they'd be, you know, fighting each other and bringing you to a different cartoon that would always like horizon your vision of different cartoons out there and stuff like that. And it's something about these anthology series that hold up where you can remember a cartoon where it was only like this cartoon never gets picked up, but like you can remember the cartoon straight from that anthology series, so it made an impression on you even though it never went further than that.
Okay, yeah, no, in regards to the anthology stuff like that in the series, there have been some good ones.
Yeah. Like I was just gonna say I like that it's truly a tester. It's like if it really picks up, then it could go further. Whether you like it or not, ultimately, or majority likes it or stuff like that. But it's a good way of testing. It's a good way for people to spend their time with variations and stuff like that and find what you're very interested into. But it's honestly ultimately like a big test put out on screen.
Yeah, it's a good way to test themes and pilot things that they want to try without having to do a full-on pilot.
Yeah, like the idea of a company getting scripts on TV shows all throughout and then just being like, all right, we have so many scripts here. If you could shoot me basically your elevator pitch in an animation episode, that's kind of what all of these are, elevator pitch. Some get longer time than others, but ideally they're like around the 5 to 15 minute range. So you're pretty much elevator pitch through your style, whatever you try to or convey to a company.
Yep, that's exactly what it is, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So here's pushing for more of that. I'm so interested. We was talking about this with the whole Disney thing, especially with them releasing as we speak, of stuff like Little Mermaid over and stuff like that, and they'll do that. Today was a big step in them talking about a lot of new stuff like this Kizimoto Generation Fire. That's a new animated property specifically out of places that don't get touched when it comes to animation. You have that. You have the trailer for the new Disney Princess movie for Wish, which is a different story that they said was like 100 years in the making. So that's a thing. Just like Disney is finally hopping into their at least originality bag. Between that and then Elemental for Pixar comes out in about 2 months. There's a new one, a new take on the elements and stuff like that. Like this, like when people argue that they're not seeing a lot of originality, I hope they're boosting up all this new shit that we're getting.
True, right? Now you got a point there.
Yeah, I mean, you put your mouth out there to say that they ain't got no originality, then they put all this stuff out there. You gotta up and support now.
Yeah.
So, and they're cool concepts and ideas. But using that to switch over into our Nerd and Reboot news real quick. This week was festering when it comes to a bunch of trailers and stuff like that. So there was, what I was seeing going through Twitter, the hashtag CinemaCon. So apparently for all the movie folk that are, I guess, either big in the industry or the TikTok generation that have gravitated to movies or stuff like that, there was a CinemaCon where they showed films of like trailers or still images of upcoming movies or stuff like that hasn't been released to the public exactly, that have come out with some information. Some movies they played in full. Right off the bat, I want to talk about the Flash movie because they dropped the trailer for the Flash movie, and I've seen some reactions from some TikTok generations that have been over there because they played, I don't know if it's the movie in full or the movie that still needs to be cleaned up in editing and stuff like that, but a lot of people coming out of the movie was really like, James Gunn was hyping this movie for a while, saying that this is probably one of the best superhero movies of all time. The trailers have the new trailer has gotten picked up where a lot of people are saying Batman has taken over the Flash movie pretty much, which I mean, I'm pretty sure they pushed that because of the whole Ezra Miller situation just in general. But beside all that, a lot of people are coming out of the movie saying that it's really good, so that further sells my point that this movie's probably going to make a lot of money despite the Ezra stuff. I mean, you can see people fighting it on Twitter as much as they can, but a lot of people go see the movie regardless.
True, they are.
Yep. So I'm just going to be watching the numbers in this specifically because it's between that and then I heard that for the Aquaman movie, even though I heard it was testing absolutely horribly, they said definitely Amber Heard's going to stay in it. So that's 2 for 2 on DC just really not giving a fuck.
Yeah. DC. Oh, DC.
Yep. It's the pick and choose where you'll always have this argument. Like it's war criminal shit that he's doing. That they have done. They have done absolute war criminal shit, and it's one of those things where it's like there's a lot of people coming out like, so Ezra's done some bad things, but the movie's good, and it's you're just like, oh, okay, so we're just finding the line here where it's like, just take this guy and end his career for that stuff, and then this person's like, well, I mean, we might like this is getting so much good feedback that I mean, we have to bring this person back because they're like, Ezra's doing a lot better. We're encouraging the support of them getting better. I'm like, they did war shit. They should pay for their crimes. Like, they shouldn't be walking out for this. Like that's the weird. That's the weird move of this.
Yeah, like I said, them sweeping like Ezra did bad things and trying to sweep it under the rug. I'm like,
we're literally seeing it face first. Like, they will penalize one side, but this side they're like, well, if the movie's good and he's so good that we gotta bring him back for the next and stuff like that. I mean, like that's messy.
Yeah.
But outside of that, we had a couple of trailers that came this week. We just had a new one for a new Hunger Games series. Like I was saying before, we had for Wish. We had Transformers. I think they're doing like 2 sets of Transformers stuff. Like they have the live action Transformers movies, the Beast Wars coming this summer, and then I think there was an animated one announced with a star-studded cast. I think Chris Hemsworth is supposed to be voicing Optimus Prime. Bryce Tyree Henry from Atlanta. He's supposed to be doing Megatron. Like, there's mad people. Lawrence Fishburne's in it. John Hamm's in it. Like the star-studded cast of voice acting is about to come back in the zeitgeist, which is, it's got its pros and cons with that, because I think voice acting opportunities is there and here. Some people want their star-studded stuff. I think Mario definitely broke the mold on that, because a lot of people was bitching and moaning about Chris Pratt, but that shit came out really good. So it kind of reopened the floodgates for like celebrities to do a lot of voice for major characters and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see how that works.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Let's see how that goes.
Yep. CinemaCon also, I think they announced the Avatar movie. They showed like still images of, I think, older Zuko and the gang being older in like the 20s and 30s. So that movie, the first movie, is poised to come out on October 10th, 2025.
Wait, so if they're older, are we talking about Korra time?
Nah, before Korra.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Aang gang. They in their 20s and 30s. So this is a couple years after the big war and stuff like that, and they're holding off civilization or what.
Oh, so when
okay. So I guess this is like right. This is ideally when Toph just early started the metal police. I think Sokka's a part of the police force, and ideally Katara may have her first child or may be pregnant during this time. We will.
So maybe they gonna show the story how Toph was for the streets, or
I guess so, because we never heard about we never really heard that much about either baby daddy. So
yeah, right. So like,
we gotta find out.
Let's see.
Even in the comics, they had like, she had this one ideal like that looked like a relationship with somebody, but they never really further expanded it. His name never came through, so I don't know. But we definitely gonna find out how Toph had multiple lovers. Pretty much.
Toph was out here.
Yep. So also there was an announcement, not really through emails, but on their Facebook page or all their social media stuff like that. Comic-Con tickets should be going on sale soon, between I think June, between somewhere around June to July. So they're not fucked up this time. They're not selling it during Mother's Day like they did last year. They gave a breakdown of everybody that gets early pre-sales, whether it's you get like specific link or your VIP or X, Y, and Z or whatnot. But like take it around like between the beginning of June to the end of June. That's usually the time that they'll announce that Comic-Con tickets is out. I just saw a post that they're recording the final episodes of Craig of the Creek. They're finishing that up, so that's the end. So it's already the end of an era of a big Cartoon Network show that gave big love to black families and stuff like that. That show will be surely missed. This week we lost Legend. We lost Harry Belafonte and Jerry Springer. So we like I was talking to another friend earlier. The legends of yesteryear are all like, after our last couple of years, we've been losing major legends. So our superstars of yesterday are becoming our new legends. The underground people are becoming the new superstars, and we are just continually getting older because that generation is starting to fall out now.
Yeah, for real. It's just like, wow, every time you turn around, it's like, dang.
Yeah, big legends is going. So other than that, we got the announcement of a couple of stuff. They had announced that Beetlejuice 2 with some of the original cast is coming back. The OG Beetlejuice should be back for the sequel. They got that working. I sent you this earlier, but they're still cooking up. They ain't done with old Pooh trademark at all. Because,
no!
Because that rated R Christopher Robin show is coming. So they got that series working on. So that's supposed to be crazy.
Cancel it. Let it go.
They ain't letting it go.
Put it with they that shall not be named.
With the Pooh, Blood, and Honey second movie, after that first mess, that second movie coming, and then this is coming. I'm like, they really working on that Pooh IP,
Nah, listen, they can put that over in the ground. Take Bambi, put it right along with it.
Yeah, nah, he ain't stopping.
That man must be stopped.
The budget of that movie is string shoes, so he like, I'm just gonna let it flow until something pick up.
Man must be stopped.
Which they will never probably pick up. They announced they announced a new SpongeBob movie, which is supposed to be like a big, like they tout it as like the biggest SpongeBob movie ever, and it's supposed to lead to SpongeBob fighting or facing the Flying Dutchman or something like that, and it's got major implications on Sandy because it's Bikini Bottom something Sandy Adventures something like that. It's a lot they cooking, but it's something. It's in the same animation style as the last movie and stuff like that, but it specifically I think belongs to Netflix.
Oh.
They're hyping this up as the very super big SpongeBob movie they got cooking for that.
Okay.
And last on the news, I got the DC crossovers that was hitting all this week and kind of some of last week. So spoilers, kind of if you don't watch or you're not really caught up with Titans, last week they was doing something with Beast Boy and his power that had him traverse into kind of the multiverse, and with that multiverse they started to do a crossover to multiple shows. I think Beast Boy had linked up with Stargirl, and then he ran into the fucking Doom Patrol, and then he saw his creator comic in the first place, Hugh Grant, that worked on multiple DC properties, and he even ran into Beast Boy from Teen Titans Go. Like,
oh wow,
like when DC do crossovers, them shits is ambitious and weird as hell, and all we got this week was basically Titans mixed with Doom Patrol, because we finally got live action Cyborg and Beast Boy coming together. So that was something. While over in the Flash, they still working on the final season. We got the return of Oliver Queen, Green Arrow back. So he was back in that, and they was doing some multiverse stuff off of that, and some of the characters came back with that and stuff like that. So it's been quite a week and a half for DC with their crossovers and whatnot. Crossovers all over. Crossovers in their trailers, crossovers in their TV series, crossovers in their streaming series, all types.
Yeah, that's DC. DC does some interesting things.
Yeah, they go. When it comes to crossovers, they know how to like really stuff about a mixture of shit like that. Like
that's one of the things that they excelled at, was like them crossover type of.
Oh yeah, their TV crossover is still untouched. That one where they merged all the different shows that they've ever had, from like the '60s shows to like Smallville to like the animated properties, giving Kevin Conroy his first acting at Batman in live action and shit like that, all in one big ass special that collaborated like 50 years of history all in like one weekly special. It's insane. Like the money off of that, the cameo time to work off of that, to everybody filming shit like that, all of that was ambitious as hell, and it came out actually phenomenal. Probably one of the greatest crossover things ever, like right beside Endgame, and that's insane to say.
Like I said, when DC does hit, they hit.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a reason why they had the most noticeable and iconic, like household names. They just needed to put the properties together for them to make like decent movies and shit, just in general.
And get rid of certain someones.
Yeah, pretty much. But we'll continue on that as we see first. So, in the meanwhile, it's time.
Wait, hold on. Before we go to the main event, we're not gonna talk about Under the Sea.
What's there to talk about?
And our friend.
I mean, they dropped a poster of Sebastian, but like I said, every time they drop a trailer or a teaser, that's all I'm listening out for, and they're not putting it there, which proves that it's probably gonna be an issue. Like I've been saying the last couple of times, I always say there's always importance for Jamaicans in spaces, and I still believe that the casting of David as Sebastian is nepotism and friendship stuff.
Okay.
So with that being said, I mean, it's not even just Sebastian, Flounder, and Scuttle. I think they've released posters of it, and there's a lot of people saying that they look disturbingly, realistically ugly. So I mean, it's true. If you look at the posters, they look really bad. And it's like Disney, when they come to sharing their animated to live action stuff, they have not hit the cusp of what they need to create. And it was the same issue with Lion King. It's being too realistic that they can't show emotions enough for it to at least.
Who's animating this thing?
I don't know, but they're not doing a great enough job to show that mixture when it comes to animals, and they're showing these hyper realistic things that only work in very small pockets, but nobody ultimately cares about it like once it's done. So ultimately, my thing is just holding on to watching Sebastian and seeing if they change the songs, because the guy doesn't have the voice, even from the little snippet of the trailer of him trying the voice. Because from the information that me and Kenya spoke, and Kenya found like more backstage information, the guy tried this dialect study in Jamaica for about 3 months, which seems like still a waste of time for me. Instead of just getting a young Jamaican voice actor, instead of just putting somebody who's worth the time and worth the voice to actually make this work. So, and that's a complete dialect all in itself that you just have to have, because the guy has to not only have the voice, he has to sing with said voice, which I'm scared that they'll actually turn around and change it to like some rap shit, or like you'll take these iconic songs and flip it over to rap, which just won't work. It's not Hamilton, so that shit won't work. And they tried that shit once with Encanto, when they tried to flip over the songs that they had that people enjoyed, and that bombed completely at that award ceremony that one time. So if that, and that was Lin-Manuel's people as well, so I don't know. So a lot of that shit could go very wrong with how they got that, like the main character and stuff like that, they working, that's fine, but my attention goes completely on Jamaican spaces, so it's gonna focus on Sebastian. So, that's my focus on that. So that's my 2 cents on that so far, because they don't give us any more information off of that. He's not singing in any of the trailers. He's got like one line in like 5 different teasers and trailers, so I don't know what the fuck to really have, other than this thing looks weird for him being a lobster and him looking like a crab. Like I don't know, the niggas ain't putting 2 and 2 together.
Where's Pixar when you need them?
Working on Elemental, which will be out in 2 months, where everybody needs to go see that, because that's more important. I mean, it's new shit. Y'all want new shit. That's exactly what's going to be. Because that last Pixar movie of Strange World, nobody really didn't seen that, and they're not looking too hot. That's why that meme I sent you earlier.
Okay.
With Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse laughing because they had just dropped Lion King, and they was eating well while the Super Mario garbage early movie came out. R.I.P. to Bob Hoskins and stuff like that. Respect. Did you also, speaking of that, did you hear that John Leguizamo was boycotting the new movie because it didn't have representation for Hispanic?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, he boycotted the movie. He didn't want to see it because they didn't have Spanish voice actors and stuff like that. And then he said he may get into, like, if they offer him a role in like the sequel, he may, accept it or something like that. Like I said before, if they try to fan cast Pedro Pascal as Wario, and if he bitching enough, then might as well just make him Waluigi.
Hey.
If he already got negative energy coming to the movie, might as well come in here with Waluigi. So,
hey, if you're going to do negative energy, that's what you got to do for.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
Waluigi.
Yeah. So like I was saying earlier with the meme of the Disney was looking right now, and then the way how the last movie Strange World bombed, and then Super Mario is making, they're on key. I think by now they probably hit 1 billion. Like the numbers was just keep rising, and there's no point that I would imagine this shit stopping, because people are just gonna continuously go to this movie until it's probably out of the theater. It's just so easy. It's for the families, it's for the old heads. Everything is short and concise. You can see it multiple times and probably miss out on Easter eggs because there's so many Easter eggs. It's a movie that you can just watch continually, so that's just an easy money maker. So yeah, kudos to that. So once again, any more news before I kick it in?
No, I think we're good.
All right, it's time for the main event segment of this week. Shot of Kurosake anime review. We're doing 91 Days episode 1 and 2.
Right.
All right, so let me get into some fast facts. So fast facts is, as it stands, history. Currently on Crunchyroll, Japanese anime TV series set in the U.S. Prohibition era around like July of 2016 to October 2016. It's a revenge story, a crime drama following a man's quest for vengeance against a great crime family. So we can step into episode 1, Night of the Murder, day 1. So we open on a man walking through the rain. The man's name comes up that his name is Bruno. He talks as he walks around, and he lets it know that the mail comes in for someone named Angelo. The old ladies tell him about it, and he quickly runs to grab that letter.
Yeah, he grabbed that letter dumb fast.
Yeah, he grabbed that letter like he was up to something, and he talks about him being on his lonesome and stuff like that. So he ends up going back to his hotel or his house or wherever he stays at, and Bruno, as he says, he opens the letter, and a picture of a child is there. and he just says Vanetti and smiles, and we cut to the same picture in a house. So we're going all the way into what looks like a flashback. So we cut to these three kids. They're together playing with a candle pretty much. So this is early times. We got them old school kids playing. They playing around with what they got, and what they got is a candle. So this is old school time. And one of them kids right off the bat looks like Bruno when he's younger. So it's obviously got to be flashback vibes here. We see one friend is leaving. His name comes up. We are introduced to Corteo, and the mother is helping him go. You know, just like every Italian family or family just in general. They're helping people out. They're giving food. They're trying to connect together. Everything ideally is kind of Italian vibe and Italian energy coming out of this. Corteo speaks to him and calls him Angelo, which makes our connection. So Bruno is Angelo, Angelo is Bruno. Okay. So it's Angelo's birthday, and in the middle of Angelo's birthday, we see like a scene of a car drive to the house, but there's like a car hidden in the spaces. There's like around wintertime, it's kind of snowing and stuff like that. So a car is hidden in the dark. They shut off all their lights and stuff like that. When a car pulls up and drives past it, another car pulls out in secret and starts following the car. So the kids want to play around, and they're expecting their father at the time to come home soon. So they hide in secret, and the kids are playing around. They're in the closet and stuff like that. Dad comes home looking for them, ideally from Jump, and he's talking to his wife and stuff like that, looking around for the kids. And right as he got home, they get a knock at the door, and it's a visitor. Masked men show up, speaking to the father, and they said they start to talk about their day and daily. They're shooting the breeze, and then they bring up that the death of the Don had just happened. So the Don and the family, the head of the crime, one of the head of the crime families, had just been killed in secret. And when they said that, the father initially frees right off the bat, and he starts to be like, oh, that's kind of curious that he had died and stuff like that. And right when he said that, the men pull guns out on him, and instantly it becomes a high wire situation, because they're accusing him. They're like, all right, you must have a hand in something that had killed off the Don and stuff like that. And it's not like really the father is backing down from the inference. And after his expression after they had said the death of the Don, just in general, right off the top, you kind of have an idea that the father might have something to do with it. So
because homie did look like he pulled out a knife out of that joint instead of a bottle opener.
So right off the bat, he was trying to get sturdy with some shit. So the dad looked up stuff. They looked for something, and the mother pleads because she sees this shit go down in her kitchen pretty much. And one man turns around and pistol whips the shit out of her. So she dropping and like in the midst of all this shit, what's going on? The kids are watching from the closet pretty much. And in the midst of when the mother gets hit, instantly one of the siblings run out, and we see Angelo try to grab at his sibling as they ran to go protect their mother, but his arms ain't long enough to grab for his sibling. So the child runs out, and Angelo can't grab them back to the closet, but he's staying in the closet as far as that's concerned. Yeah. So that's Angelo's sibling Yelena, and they're running off while the father ends up fighting back with the distraction of all the shit that's going on with the child running to protect their mother and stuff like that. The father's fighting back. He pulls out a knife on him. He ends up stabbing and slicing one of the men, and he starts wilding, starting to go crazy off that. And right off the bat of that, they cut to an off scene, and all you hear is gunfire start to go off. And the gunfire, there's multiple gunfire, all goes off, and all we see is the whole family is killed in bloodshed. We talk about the dad, the mom, and the little sibling, all dead, blood all over the place. And they're like, all right, so we're gonna make a major search around the sea to make sure that nobody's living around and stuff like that. And then he sends one guy specifically called Nero. He sent kind of upstairs to look through the closets and stuff like that. Angelo is then put into a high fire situation because he's ending up moving around the house like in silence and stuff like that while he's trying to maneuver. This is a child we talking about, and Angelo ran out to the closet and under the bed, and and goes all the way into the kitchen to find that his whole family is dead and bloodshed, and the kid has to keep quiet for the most part.
Yeah, this is a wild situation.
Yeah, for a child on this child's birthday on top of it. This is still like Angelo's birthday.
Dang.
What a hell of a birthday. See your
Wow.
family get murked out and killed and stuff like that. So we see Angelo kind of try to maneuver through the house, but kind of stumbles and makes a sound. So that's when we have Nero run and chase after him. But Angelo is a child, so Angelo can make a maneuver, like move through the snow and stuff like that. And Nero's like right on his ass when he starts to run out into the snow cover.
Yeah, he is. Sheesh.
And he's maneuvering and kind of zigzagging, which I wish most kids would do in other TV series. Like he's zigzagging so he doesn't get shot. Nero blasts off a shot, but he ends up missing Angelo in general, and Angelo just keeps running until he can't stop. Keeps running and escapes all the way to the friend Corteo where he's staying at, and basically just pulls up on him and just traumatized and everything, trying to hide out with them for the most part. So when he pulls up to Corteo's house, instantly he opens up the door for Angelo, and he alludes to his mother not being there because of maybe like a drug problem or a situation that's just going on with the mother in general. I think it's just Corteo and the mother at the house. But the moment he went in there, he tried to warm up his friend, and Angelo had told Corteo of what happened, and instantly Corteo came into like big brother mode. He said, from this on end, we're brothers. Like legit, you got no family, I'm your family now. So Corteo had like issued that bond. He made the brothers oath and he attached himself to them. But like what was happening with Angelo was like too deep for him to stay there. So I don't know if Angelo also blames himself for like what had happened to his family, so he might not have wanted the same situation to happen to Corteo, which is all wild for a child to think on his birthday. But like Angelo signs him off and then kind of just leaves. So he just leaves him kind of a note and then just disappears in the night.
Wow.
And then like a couple of days pass by, and then we see a montage of the home that like their house has been burned down.
Damn.
And like the bodies is all burned in there, and then the cops is outweighing and looking at all the situation that's gone, and all you see is Angelo in the distance looking on as his house is burned, his mementos is gone, his family is gone. What a hell of a birthday for that kid to have had.
Talk about a birthday, man. That's a birthday I would have
darkest shit ever. So names of people who work on the anime play has started to emerge in images of the era start to as they play along, and we see like flash cuts to funeral stuff, which is probably the death of the family and all the stuff, and we see how time has changed in the time period because like they had alluded to, this was like an era of prohibition, so everybody's like bootlegging and hiding liquor and stuff like that.
So we're in the 20s?
Yeah, ideally the 1920s, because they said like, so 7 years have passed and this is a place called Lawless, and so 7 years have passed ahead, and we see Angelo, and we see like the poor kids are shining shoes, people are bootlegging whiskey in their houses and stuff like that, and all had happened in these 7-year time spans and gains and change, stuff like that. So the first person we see after like really the major time skip after Angelo is Corteo, and Corteo ends up like testing a drink because he's one of the bootleggers, and he's trying to test the kind of whiskey to get himself inside the crime family or something like that, because he tested under one of the assistants and stuff like that. His name is Chirado. He's testing it, and he's like, yo, this shit's gonna go good for the family. This shit is fire. This shit is great. How much you want to sell it for the family? And he's like, I really don't want to sell it. I really don't want to sell it specifically to like the Orko family. I don't want to be branded to specifically like this allegiance and shit like that. So he's trying to like play around to, I guess, the different families to see what he can bootleg with his fancy bootlegging whiskey that he's making in house and shit like that. The second he talks to his friend and they go out to leave, we see some big ass nigga pull in. He leaves to see, and then like some big ass dude come in with a bat. It's apparently supposed to be Chirado's brother, and he comes in and he has a big ass bat, and he starts like wailing on the machine that made the liquor, and he was like, yeah, this is shout outs to the other family, fuck your shit since you don't want to sell to us. So obviously this is a lawless town, so he starts tearing up Corteo's shit, and he starts to go through the motions, beating up the machines and shit like that, fucking up just so he knows, you know, who's the main family in charge and who he should be working under, because if you ain't making, liquor for the family, you ain't fucking with the family. So it ain't work. So he busting that shit up. Angelo shows up out of nowhere and takes care of the big motherfucker. He knocks him out clean. So he puts a big motherfucker on his ass. And then we have Corteo asking what's been going on. He ain't seen Angelo, who goes by Bruno now. It's been like I don't know how long it's been since they have met. Ideally, since it's been 7 years. I don't know if Bruno / Angelo has been hiding out in places for a solid year or what's been going on, but he disappeared. In that time, Corteo has said that he's offering up his place for his brother to stay at. He loves his brother Bruno no matter what time it's been and stuff like that. He explained that over time his mother's passed and it's kind of just him now, so he's his only family. So him and Bruno, he wants to make sure he's safe and tight and stuff like that. And then Bruno ends up telling Corteo he's got to sell to the family. He speaks on loyalty and stuff like that. He scopes out the space. It's the place they want to sell to is an old place full of crime, and it's given a church vibe, but it's a church in a lawless state, which is like every meaning of the word. So they go to this bar and it's hosted by a priest. So I guess this is just how people made their money back in the day. So people selling fake hooch all around, because we got the gangsters testing out the different liquors and shit like that, and there's like, this shit garbage, this ain't shit that's gonna last for the family and shit like that. Family's got a piece of the pie here and there. We got a different set of family factions that is attached. I don't know if it's like a five family thing, but it's multiple families that is attached to the bootlegging game all through the 1920s, pretty much like historic shit that's just going. So, in the midst of the different families trying to pass along, what the liquor is out there, we got this wild man named Fango who arrives, and he got his goons, and his goons start to pull up on members of the other family, and all you see is like they smash cut to like one of the family members outside, and he's like being a lookout and shit like that, and then out of nowhere he's talking to some guy that's trying to like inquire about something, and he's trying to pass him off, but he fucks around with the wrong person. So like one of the heavies come out of nowhere and start snuffing the nigga and taking his car. So he snatches his car off big for that shit.
The way son boop boop boop, I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah, they big booping niggas throughout this whole series. They throwing hands like there's no tomorrow. So we got Bruno and Corteo kind of pull up into this bar and stuff like that, and they run the drink by the bar. The owner, he don't want to mess with it because it ain't like official major shit. Like it's not attached to no family and shit like that. But they're trying to sell it off. They're like, yo, this is good shit, we swear. So They pull it out. They test it. They test it with the little fire. The hooch starts burning in.
That's after old boy threw out the 2 drinks.
Yeah, and then they like, we still got more. They think you slick throwing out our shit, but we still popping in it with it. So they test out the drinks with the fire, and it makes a nice flame. Folks are interested because, if you got good alcohol to moonshine ratio and shit like that, if it burns like for a subtle flame, that means that shit is popping. So that shit must be really popping for the folk. That's when Fango and his group start showing up like inside the bar, and he's looking for Nero, who's the son of the Dawn.
Side note, I wonder if it was Bo's quality. Probably. Click your heels quality.
Well, it's probably even crazier than that. If you know about moonshine, that shit is like
true
upper echelon when it comes to like alcohol. When it comes to like that shit is pretty much fucking Drano. So that shit, forget clicking your heels. You ain't gonna remember a goddamn click of nothing. So we got Fango that pulled up in the area. He's looking for the Dawn son. He heard he was around here. They said that they missing some liquor, so they trying to get their revenge. Their family don't fuck around with their shit being missing. So they pull it all left, right, and center. And then we see Corteo gets called over and basically pretty much threatened. He was like, I know you look like a smart motherfucker. So I know you hiding my nigga Nero. So you gonna tell me where Nero at, or we gonna get to shanking. Like shit, I'm crazy out here, so you know what's popping in these streets. Shit be wild.
The bartender was talking shit. He shot out the bartender. What you said? Oh, nothing.
Oh, facts. Bartender slash priest was talking all kinds of crazy shit to everybody else until Fango started getting crazy. And he was like, man, it's yo, just leave the bar, leave me, and I'm Gucci. Everybody else is collateral. It's like somebody paid for that shit.
Right? Some was like, okay, yeah, I'm out of here.
So I guess at this point, I mean, because of the times and stuff like that, nobody knows exactly. Like, I guess nobody of the other family knows exactly who some people look like specifically, because Bruno just stepped up and said he's Nero, even though they're like, I'm not too sure. I heard he looked like something else, but I mean, it's a possibility because they don't know exactly what everybody apparently looks like unless you're like at the round table pretty much. So he's like, I don't believe you, but I'll still see. I'm about to snatch you up. So drama starts popping up, and Fango, and he catches Fango with his blade while he's distracted. So he's starting. So like this nigga Bruno off and popping, stabbing niggas like his father and shit like that. It goes person for person, gets crazy. Fango goes off with the gunplay. He come out with the AK and start going off.
I'm like, oh shit.
He started raining the gunfire in that bitch. So they tossing bottles back while they all hiding in that shit. And Fango, every time he sees somebody pop out, he's shooting with the AK. He clearing the shit off. He got the Tommy guns going off, the big clips and shit like that, clearing off all parts of the stuff. So they start to come together. There's like 4 men behind the bar. It's Corteo and Bruno back there with like 2 other folk, and they start to cook up a plan. They're like, okay, what the hell can we toss back at him? And then they start to get to mixing the alcohol that they got. And they was like, yo, let's mix this together with the rag. And they start pulling a combo of a Molotov cocktail. And they throw that shit. And it singles out to Fango. And he shoots that shit. And it like the
flame
alcohol
on
drains around him, and the shit, yo, Fango is engulfed in flames, and it is so bad that this nigga ends up looking like the Human Torch in that shit.
Hot.
That shit going crazy. That shit got him in ultimate flames. So they end up dipping. And this is like 4 of them. They end up dipping. They take out the mystery guy in the car. So they pull him out and they all steal his car. So all of those 4 men dip out. And then Corteo explains what happened with the bomb drink, pretty much. Why the shit was so flammable. Why the flames were so kicking up off the drink and shit like that. So one of the men removes his beard and announces that he's actually Nero Venetti, the main guy that was like they was looking at and was causing a whole stir throughout the shit. So Bruno is shocked in the ending of the episode, and I said the ending theme of this sounds like a lounge singer from like the 20s.
Yep, so, for real.
So that's given the vibes of that whole episode. So that's pretty much finished off the first episode in general. So I said my final impression of the first episode is the show sets an interesting concept of Japanese taking over a subject that's all the ways unfamiliar. Like think of Vinland Saga, where you have like these Japanese mangaka are making like historian timepieces, stuff that attach itself on. This one's on like Italian crime family, and they kind of get in the weeds of the 1920s of the Americas and stuff like that, just like how Vinland Saga took on like 1500s like England and the war going through that and the control of the monarchs and stuff like that. So this is taking on unfamiliar territory of stuff that they do, but you know, it's stories. You can write stories. So it's a revenge Italian mob story during American Prohibition. Sounds far from what should be animated, but also makes it interesting kind of going forward and taking on like different time pieces. So what is your final impression on the first episode?
So far for this episode, I wasn't sold. I don't know. Something about this thing so far has not really clicked with me.
It's one of those, I would say it's one of those slow cook, because it's a revenge story and it's called 91 Days. Now, it's not going to take 91 episodes to go through the whole shit, but some of them go like day by day, but it's like little traps that build off itself. Like if you think the first couple episodes are slow, it ends up building off on itself.
Yeah, it's like right now, the only character that had any interest for me was Fango. Everybody else just seems like they're just there.
Well, I would argue Fango and Bruno, because you're trying to see what's his end game in him building all this shit up, other than like revenge, but it's a revenge against a whole crime family in general. And that's ambitious as hell.
That's the weird thing about Bruno. Like typically in these situations, I would care, but in this case, like when it comes to Bruno, it's like I don't know why. I just don't.
Yep, that's fine. So stepping into episode 2, A Phantom of Falsehood, which is aka day 2. We open on a car ride. Vano with his folk. Vanetti is pretty much Vano is the other guy in the car with them, and he's talking about the work they go through and how much power they control, that they run into cops and like as they pull up, they run into the cops trying to like evade the situation, and they know the car is hot, so they end up leaving the car just in general, and then
stuffing up some trees, hiding stuff.
Yep. That's like family 101, and trying to hide off and shit like that. So in the meat of them doing that, out of nowhere, like a mystery assassin comes out of nowhere, like for their lives, and goes straight after them. Straight tries to kill them until like basically the cab driver has been murdered straight off the bat, and Vano sees all the mess that's happened. So Vano sees that they got caught in kind of like an ambush of a situation that happens,
bro.
and it kills off everybody. And he's kind of like the only major survivor, seeing on what's going on, to go back to the family and tell them pretty much what's going on.
Yo, the way that old boy with the knife came out of the shadows,
Yep,
son.
I mean, if it's crime families, they gonna hire the top niggas to try and take you out, and they try to one hit a quitter your shit. So
they really did.
They not expecting your ass to still be walking around telling your story. They don't want to leave messages. Pretty.
Yeah, they were taking everybody out. Oh, you clip, you clip, you clip.
Yeah, so that's where we go into the opening. So what's your opinion on the opening before I give like a further scope on this? What you thought about the opening?
It was alright.
I say I like the opening song because it feels like both a mixture of the music, it's vengeance. It's like Tokyo Ghoul meets Revenge Side, because it's definitely the same group that does Tokyo Ghoul Unravel and stuff like that. So it's a nice mixture of the music and the vengeance and the story that's played out with him going through the cities and stuff like that, and the feeling that is expressed to him, and because there's like a scene in there that he's like contemplating suicide through the breakdown of everything that had happened to his family and stuff like that. He's I guess like what you want to say is this revenge ploy is kind of like his all or nothing pretty much. So that's the opening, and then right after the opening we get thrown straight into this big ass garden party that's going on.
Right, fancy.
Yep. So we see the wars against the Orcos going down. So the Orco family is there with the other crime family, and I guess this is like a gathering of families, like a civil peace where everybody can break bread and shit like that and talk shop, how they want to collaborate their family together, how they want to share power of this, because they're all doing crime. They all trying to share a piece of whatever the fuck they can get out of this puzzle.
Yep, they're all doing dirt, and it's like you see them all trying to act all proper. I'm like, nah, you know y'all goons, every last one of you.
Yep. So we cut to Bruno, and he out here bringing the drinks. Nero loves it. Nero trying out all the hooch they got, and he was like, this shit is top quality. Bring this shit out for the rest of the gang and shit like that. But the other guy, Vano, like right beside him, he not feeling it. He like, this nigga came out of nowhere. He being invited to the garden party. We don't know who this nigga is. He like, I'm it. So that's when they meet up Barbaro, and Barbaro is the butler for the family that Nero is a part of and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And Corteo is in fear of being found out. Like, he is a nervous wreck going through this shit. Bruno is kind of calm and collected because this is probably what he's thought about for the last 7 years. So he's trying to be like courteous and cooked in mind and shit like that. But you got to keep in mind as well that he just kind of like met Corteo after like 7 years, and then he kind of drags him into whatever the plot he's cooking. And like they never said like any much time has passed, which I don't think. I think like the difference between Bruno pulling up on Corteo has been like a day. So he has a day of like running down what his scheme is, and like he's got a friend that's like super loyal, but he's like getting himself amongst the crime family and shit like that. So niggas gonna be nervous as hell and he's in fear of being found out pretty much.
Yeah, he don't want to get found out at this point. Like,
yeah, because they murder you after that shit.
You see what happened? Clip.
Exactly. You saw clearly what happens when they trying to get niggas out of the family in general. So,
yeah, when they trying to get you, they gonna get you.
Yeah, when you get got.
Yep.
So the meeting of the family speaks of a family team coming up at a theater. Like all of them is trying to. I think there's like a bigger collaboration. This is like the dinner party to have everything chill. The bigger family and like some major members that's not at the party is supposed to all culminate at this big ass theater that they have coming up with this big performance, which is gonna have the major heads of the families that is actually coming out. I think this is a big thing because some major head of the family family has not been like out into the public, so this is like an opportunity to actually see this member and shit like. So in amongst this, they speak of betrayal that's happening in their ranks.
Betrayal.
They feel like that there's niggas in their commune and in their ranks that is setting themselves up for failure or like stealing their alcohol
Snakes
to other people. Pretty much snakes in the grass, pretty much. Which is funny because that's pretty much true as they hide their cars in the grass and shit like that. So yeah, agreed. There are probably snakes in the grass. So the other guy and Theo is beefing on the day because Bruno's codename is Theo. So they out here beefing on the day of the wedding, and Barbaro helps cut in the tension and stuff like that. He's trying to make sure that shit is going smooth. This is a big party for the families, so they don't want like infighting to happen or that's gonna embarrass the families and shit like that. So they trying to calm down all the tensions and shit like that. So Bruno ends up disrespecting Theo and then his pops. So he talking wild off the mouth, and homie not fuck with that shit at all. The wife comes in to call Theo down and stuff like that. So Theo's pissed off. He's hot-headed right off the bat. He's like, I don't fuck with this guy. He talking crazy about the family. So I'm looking at this shit crazy. They have Barbaro taste test the hooch as well. Barbaro's like, this shit's popping. Shit's great. He takes Corteo to speak in secret pretty much. So that's when they end up talking, and we run now into Vano Clemente, who was the guy who was caught up in all that mystery attacking shit earlier. So he meets Aurelio Bruno. That's his code name to hide under the circumstances and stuff like that. And we have a big family that ends up like praying before they eat, and the group speaks about the two kids. So they talk about the past of like catching the family. Like they're talking about kind of Bruno's past and finding the two kids, how they never found exactly the two kids, but they had killed one kid and the rest of the family. So they had over talked about like the shit that happened before, because honestly what happened about 7 years was kind of the time that they started like expecting shit that was happening, because with the death of the Dawn, the stealing of the alcohol, they had started to find out who the fuck was the snakes in their whole mob organization that goes back all the way past that. So we got to Nero talking about he never took out that final kid. They never ended up finding out who the fuck that final kid was, and Vano gets annoyed about them talking about the whole situation, because I think Vano might have been one of the masked men that was in there. I think Nero was the one that got cut in the midst of this, or one of the bosses in there was the one that got cut by the father, because he bared scarred in the secret meeting that they was having. So this is pretty much Bruno's endgame, and this is pretty much his court of revenge where he's like hanging out around. So the boys end up drinking all the hooch that was provided, and the folks end up meeting with Serpente, which was the assassin that pulled up on the job from earlier. So Bruno pulls up to someone's room, and that's when we start to see the freakiness out of Fango, because Fango's in like one of these rooms, and he's got like a pain and whip fetish going on from some big bone dominatrix lady. Like
this was probably my favorite scene.
Yeah, but Fango started wilding, and they started like he started getting whipped, and I guess this is how he feels alive and shit like that. And they started like smacking the shit out of that, and all kinds of mess ensues with that shit. So Bruno starts to see that Fango's in the room, and he ends up starting to shoot, and Fango tries to escape using the big bone lady that he had. He uses her kind of like as like a meat shield. He don't care.
This was fucked up.
Fango don't give a fuck. Fango's a wild edge drug lord and shit like that in the midst of this shit. That's trying to he's trying to survive off his back. And then keep in mind, this nigga had just been burnt, had an extreme burning and shit like that. So him going to get his rocks off with this other lady, getting whipped and smacked and shit like that. This nigga's a hound for pain pretty much. I guarantee you, he's hopped on some kind of cocaine. Like as niggas is hiding alcohol, he's definitely doing cocaine or some kind of. So he puts the gun in between the lady's armpit and lets it go off, trying to catch Bruno. Vanno because he's in the surprise, like he don't give a shit about this lady at all. When the ultimate purpose was she was to service his kinks, and then when shit goes on, he gonna use her as a shield or something to shoot through to get at the next nigga. So Fango uses her, and then he tries to dip out. We got Serpente finds him, and Vanno catches Serp after he recognized him from earlier, and he comes to go make that nigga up. And then we got the cops that's pulling up as they planned what to do next, as all hell broke loose on a family party and shit like that. So in the midst of this shit, everybody starts to get caught up, and people get driven out to like a graveyard. They got Serpente after what had he done to the earlier family and killing people. They walk him through a graveyard, and basically Vanno had prayed over him because he's about to ice this nigga. He about to take him out.
Yeah, he about to clip him. Yep.
Yeah, they show off Trunco, they show off Trunco, who got killed earlier because of the assassin, and Vanno names Serp as he kills him. So that's kind of the ritual. What they do, they want to put you out to the graveyard and kind of bury you next to who you've done wrong, and before they kill you, they want to say your name out into the presence as like kind of like a classic execution, like how people would go to the guillotine and cut off their head in front of a whole a whole bunch of people and shit like that. So Vanno ends up taking out Serp, so he kills him. And then right when he do that, he turns around and Bruno shoots Vanno, as he is one of the names on the list because he's one of the men back in the day that had something to do with his family death. So Bruno, does the same thing that Vanno did to Serp. He prays over him and shoots him out while saying his name. So he like right before he kills him, he reveals that his name was Angelo, the son of Tesla Lagusa, who was the father who got murked out at the very beginning of the shit. So he ends up delivering the final blow, and that sends off the end of the episode. Which the ending has the same vibe, and the post ending, we see Nero punches Bruno and Barbaro. Nero punches Bruno, and Barbaro tries to calm down the situation because shit's not adding up in Nero's head. Why Vanno is suddenly dead and Bruno's still out here. He's not making any fucking sense of it. So Bruno makes up a story in pieces, but when we pull up, we find out that Serp's body is gone, and Nero's pretty much ready to shoot Bruno because this shit's not adding up. Nero's body's gone, Vanno's dead, and he's like, I'm not trusting you. Like, I just brought you around my family and shit like that. You acting mad sus. So we end off on a stalemate where Nero's straight up about to ace out Bruno. So that ends off the episode, and the final impression is now we in the weeds of it, and the clapback for Bruno has started. He catching folks slipping, and we getting into the players' weed of this game. So what's your final impression of the second episode?
So this episode got me a little more interested. I was like, okay, Bruno, I kind of see what's going on now.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got his hit list, and he's trying to push it together pretty much. So
I fade away and classify myself as obsolete.
He's definitely deleting.
He definitely deleted.
Yeah. So my final impression is, my final impression, I would say, my recommendation on the show is, because of this is a revenge story, it's kind of a slow build off, as co-host has alluded to. It's definitely a slow build. You'll catch some characters that you might have a phonetic energy to, but it's one of those things that kind of slowly builds, as if you're one of those shows that you want to keep on the mystery and the thrill of the build up and the revenge plot slowly, as one guy tries to go through an entire multiple of Italian hit families and shit like that. It's a lot to be explored and shit like that, and it's like little bombs that get planted that will certainly go into big bombs. It's not a long series. They ideally have like 12 episodes. There's like a 13th episode special in amongst it, but it's not that long of a series. It's like one season. It's one story to be done in a short range, just like we talked about. Like this is something that probably went through the script of like it being the first plot, and then they fully developed it further, and it became its own mini limited series. Like you get those intense limited series out of it, and this is like a 12 to 13. Like the 13th episode is a special that kind of explains everything in a just of understanding, but those 12 episodes will get you where you need to go and kind of complete the story. So it's a 12 episode series.
Yeah, so this would be this is one of those series, like, if I needed an instant fix, this wouldn't be it.
Yeah.
This is one of those, if I had time and I wasn't watching anything else, I'd sit down and, like, really watch this.
Yeah, it's one of those that you gotta. It's one of those slow cookers. Like, I will definitely tell you right now, it's one of my favorite, but it's because it's slow cooks. Like, it's something that you gotta leave over the cooker. You gotta do it pot roast style. You gotta let that shit marinate. Because this shit's a plot, and it's called 91 Days for a reason. So it's put together. So that's my recommendations off the show. If you need something to slow cook and let it build over time, this is the show to ideally come back.
Okay.
All right, so we'll close the book on 91 Days and preview for the next review episode. We back on that
99 Problems?
Yeah, well, speaking of...
Hey, maybe that be the title.
There's not... Well, could be. 99 problems for this one character that we got coming up, because we gonna be back on the comfy couch and we dealing with Jackie Chan Adventures episode 1 and 2. We gonna hit into the Jackie, and he is always in the bad day situations. So,
bro, definitely had more than 199 problems.
he had multiple problems off of that. So you already know we going into Jackie Chan Adventures. It's instantly just been put up on Prime, all the episodes. So we're gonna be dealing with that for sure. So right on the bat, we're gonna be heading into that in the next review episode. So we got an email set up at blerdbynature@gmail.com, Facebook and Instagram at Blerd By Nature, Twitter at Blerd By Nature, nature spelled Nature. Co-host, hit us with the YouTube.
You can find us on YouTube by searching for Blerd By Nature Podcast.
Yep, and find us all around on all podcast platforms, especially Amazon Music. We up there. We working on a couple of stuff that'll be put out soon. Our latest upload, as we have recorded and we're talking about it so far, is our Fillmore episode. Shout out again to Mr. Black.
Shout out to Black.
Yeah, who came as a wonderful guest. That shit's doing well online. I'm happy to report that there's people who are checking out Fillmore.
Nice.
I know Orlando's name is out there because he just, I think, joined a reality series. Like he's all full of memes and stuff like that. So his name is back there in the zeitgeist and shit like that.
Nice.
So if his name is out there, here's some good Disney past of him, doing voice acting and shit like that. All before shit got wacky tacky with him. Shit like
wacky tacky.
So enjoy the Fillmore and its voice acting greatness and stuff like that. We're still cooking up stuff in the default episodes and stuff like that, and we'll release that shit surely and soonly. So any final notes before I hit the outro, co-host?
Oh no, take us home, co-host.
All right, thanks for joining us today from Black Thought to Nerd Power. This is Nicholas, Mr. Go With The Flow.
And this is the man with the plan, Maurice.
And this was another edition of the Blerd By Nature Podcast.
Thank you for listening, everyone, and until next time, peace.
Peace.